Alright, so in this video we'll just go through the work that we are doing today on the 22nd of April. So what I did was I posted 3 questions. I'll do some of those questions so that you can get an understanding of the exercise that we do today. Alright, so the first thing is CXC is going to give you an assembly drawing to do. They're also going to give you a section B, which will have either a question on sections, it will have a question maybe on oblique, fasteners, auxiliary projection, or isometric projection. Alright, so I'm going to draw probably for the next 15 minutes, and that will be it for this video. Alright, so when I look at the questions here, I'm seeing that figure 1 on enclosed sheet shows first angle projection, shaft support assembly. In assembly, the stud is screwed, draw full size. So we have to draw a plan, we have to draw sectional front elevation. It says to show 6 main dimensions, print the title. So when I start this exam, I'm going to start by printing the title. So the title says shaft support assembly. It says the scale used is, it says full size. So the scale is 1:1. So in the first minute of the exam, I would expect that the scale and the title is already done, and make sure that they're in the correct layer. The only way that you're going to remember this is by practicing it now. Alright, so it then says here the projection symbol, so we draw in first angle most of the time. So I'm just going to draw my first angle symbol. I have made a center line, we draw 5. We come back and we draw a 10. Over here, we drop a vertical line, offset 20, and we just project the lines across. Alright, so now that my symbol is finished, I want you to understand that many students leave out these 2 drawings and they lose those marks. They lose the marks for number C or question C, and they also lose the marks for the dimensions. Alright, so the symbol is here finished. Now I could change these layers. I should change these layers to the correct ones, but I'm not going to spend any more time there. The point I'm making here, first thing, please do this at the beginning of the question and make sure that you have secured these 10 or so marks. You're only going to get the full marks by doing the layers correct. Alright, so from here I'm just going to take a look back at the questions. It's asking for sections. It's also saying that we're doing this in cabinet projection. So remember, you're doing cabinet or cavalier. Which one you have to reduce the measurement? Look it up, please. Quickly. Look in the chat, something. Look into the chat. Alright, so you have a radius 48. We have a radius 40. And then I am bringing down these 2 lines. 39. Which one do we reduce the measurement? Cabinet. We reduce the measurement for cabinet. Alright, so as you can see, while the students were looking for the answer to that question, I was continuing to draw this piece. And I want you to pay close attention to it, because you might look at this piece and not understand it. It's a front and a plan view. This is the side of the drawing, or the front of the drawing, and there's a view from the top of the drawing. Do you understand, or can you see that this piece that is here is sticking out? Like, this is not a flat piece coming across. You realize down here that this piece with the circle is sticking out?
Yes,
right? It come down like 14. So we're going to use that. That's why we drew it first. And since we said for cabinet you have to change the measurement, I'm going to do cabinet with a 45-degree angle. And with 45, you reduce the measurements by half. So coming up will be 7. I'm then going to copy this. Just draw the top of it. And I'm going to trim this side over here. Trim this piece that's at the back. Alright, so now that we have the front of that face done, I'm going to just draw the bottom piece, which is a flat piece coming across. Down here it has the measurement is 120, so I'm going to draw back from the middle to put in that 120. So half of 120 is 60, so I come from here to 45, draw across 60, come up 15, and then I'm drawing across 14 from 60 gives us what? 14 from 60 gives us what? 46, sorry. 46 divided by 2 is 23. Now, the reason that I use 23, remember, was because the measurements have to be cut. So from here, just bring this line across the 120. Then I'll bring this one across the 120. And that front piece is finished. Just extend and now trim. Now what I need to do here is I just need to complete the back part of it. So the back part of it comes out here, and I'm just going to copy this circle. And from here, I'm not finding a tangent for the end, but I'm going to draw a line over that side. So here's the oblique figure. The only part that is missing is the line that is connecting these two together. I'm just going to trim up, and I said this is the oblique figure. Now with the oblique figure, remember you're drawing it at, you could draw at 45 degrees. So with cabinet, we had to reduce the dimension, and we have completed all of that. With it though, it's something that you have to practice, but as you can see by this drawing, it is pretty straightforward, pretty simple, and we just have to put in this line. But for this line, I draw it from here, 45, and I'll just draw this across. And trim. You understand the oblique figure? So remember oblique, it has one flat face and then it has a slanted face. Alright, so from here we're going to go into the, I'm not going to do sections because we did that twice already, the classes. I'm going to go into the assembly. So when we look at the assembly, we are looking at the main parts. The main part here is the base. There's a front and plan view of it. There's a fork, and the fork, like, it sits on top of the base, and there is a stud. The stud has base and a far end, so one of those ends is going into the fork and one end is going into the base. Okay, until you understand which end is going into the fork, now which end is going into the base. Alright, good. So start this. Why are we going to start this? By drawing the Marco. Beautiful. But before we start with the circle, we start with a center line. Alright, so draw a long vertical line, horizontal, and we're going to draw these circles down here, and that 125 by 100. Alright, so start with a small circle, which is at the top here, radius 20. And then I'm going to start with the hidden detail circle, which is 72. So I'll do that one at diameter 72. And I'll just place it at hidden so I remember. And now we're going to offset the 50 up to draw the top side and the bottom side. So offset 50. And then we're offsetting what's half of 125. $62.5. So we have in that rectangle. So now we're going to begin the front view. Just draw a horizontal line, and then we're going to bring out the base. So the base comes here, and then the height of this little piece is 15. 15, draw across, and then we draw this piece up. Alright, so now we have 110 going to the top. And this little piece out here is 30, so we offset again, 30. And I'm going to draw that 40 circle for the top piece. So over here, it says here this big circle, there's a 74, there's an M26 in there, there's a 90. So that big circle is actually, if you have to line it up with the side, now just watch what I'm going to do. The drawings are all done to scale. You see how I pull this to the left? You see that the front view lines that we plan on the left side? So if you watch, the circle at the bottom now lines up with, I'm looking at over here, the circle at the bottom lines up with this piece. So if you're confused as to what's going on with these lines here, just pull it across to see. And that middle line that is actually the 74, sorry, that one is in the curve. So I'm going to call that like the center of the curve. So we draw this circle here, diameter 74, and then I'm just going to bring these lines up. And from here now, I'm going to bring up also the 72, which we're drawing hidden, and connect the 72 to the 30 that is in here. So I'm just going to offset 15. So that is the hidden detail hole that we just brought up. And now from here, I'm just going to offset this or copy it, because it's at the same angle. Now we're just going to trim. Alright, so that is most of what I'm doing for the body. Not really going to do anything else for the body. But with the assembly drawing, you need to remember you have to assemble. So I'm going to look at the next part, which is the fork. And you can choose which side you want to put it in facing. But this party is sitting down on top of this piece. So I'm just going to draw it on top one time. So it is coming out here 10. offset. It has 70 square, so that's 35 to the left and 35 to the right. You all understand what I'm doing so far?
Yes.
So we're drawing this fork piece, as we said. So we have the fork up here already, 70, and then there's a 40 coming across. So I'm just going to offset this 20. And I'll put in the height of 65. So if you're watching closely, you realize that I'm drawing the piece in here one time. Because CXC is only going to give you the marks if you have assembled the drawing. So that is why it is so critical to assemble the figure. Alright, so from here there's a hole in it. That small hole is 26. So I'm going to measure that. Offset 26, 13. So 13 to the left, 13 to the right. And I'm going to draw this in the plan view now. So the thing about this piece, this rectangle, this square, sorry, has to be shown in the plan view. And that square is actually going to be solid. So you'll have the 35 to the left, 35 to the right, 35 down, 35 up. I'll just change the layers on these ones. The only reason I'm not changing all of the layers is for the sake of the video, so it's not too long. Alright, so that's the square piece. From here, we just proceed to put in the actual stud. So the fork is this piece at the top, and the stud there is the same M26. So the thing about that is there are threads up here, and there are also threads in this. The 32 piece is going into the bottom part, and then the 35 piece is what is going in the top part. So I'm just going to offset again, and this time we'll offset the 13 for the hole in the middle. And I'm going to start with the 35 piece going up for the actual fork. So this is 35 up, and this piece here is the fork that we have drawn. So that's 35 up, and then I'm going to offset 93 down. Pardon me? Yeah, sure. Alright, so we offset 95 down, and there's our stud on the inside. Now there's a workpiece. Where the workpiece is going? The top. The workpiece is diameter 36. Where is the workpiece going? Nobody knows where the workpiece is going? There's a M26 here. This is, as we said, diameter 36. So there's anything here that has a 36? So let's go back to the question. So the thing is here, sometimes you can get lost in the drawing, but it's very important to read the question as you go through. It says the fork is then fitted and screwed onto the stud. The workpiece is then fitted between the arms of the fork and fixed in place by 2 M12 bolts. So the workpiece is in the arms of the fork. So let's go back. This is the fork, these are the arms. So that would be 26 from 40, So that would give us 24 would be the size in the middle. Oh, there's a 40 in here. So how would that be held? Oh, so the studs, the bolts are gonna go through here. You understand that? It look, well no, is that in here is 40. So they're just gonna put this in here. I can probably put it laying down. So that's 36. Let me measure up half of 36. Half of 36 is 18. So just draw this circle. Diameter 18, diameter 36. And now, we just put in these little bolts. Alright, so what is the height? That's radius 18, so for the measurement for the top, that's 18 coming down. Alright, 18 is for the center of the holes, and those are M12. So we'll just offset 6 up, 6 down. Extend. So all I'm doing is just drawing in a bolt here where the drawing said this bolt is going to go. So I'm allowing the bolt to touch the cylindrical piece or the pipe. And from here, I'll just draw in the rest of this bolt. The measurement of it is 30. So the offset 30. And the head is M12. No, they did not give us any measurements for the size of the head, but we can decide how we're going to draw our hexagon. Close the drawing. We are going to decide how we're going to draw our hexagon here, and I'll probably give the head of it a measurement of 7. And I'll draw the hexagon over here. Now, all of these things we've done in the SVA, but you have to make sure that you understand these and practice them for the exam. So just draw the hexagon now, the polygon 6, center, and I'm going to inscribe it. And I'm just using this to draw the remainder of the bolt that we have. The head of this bolt is a little big. And the reason I'm doing this is because they've not given us any measurements of the actual bolt. Alright, any questions? Everybody understands it so far? Alright, so just putting in the bumps now. So there's a bolt, the head of it. As I said, the head is a little big, but there's the head of our bolt. So from we have the bolt coming in, holding the piece inside. We have here the stud. Now when this is section, we're going to be able to see the stud full. We'll not see this line anymore. And this piece that is up here, the fork, we will see the fork going straight up. We'll see the bolt in this piece. And since the bolt is the same on both sides, I'll just copy it. And flip it. And now we will section. And so just taking a look back at the question. When we're sectioning this piece, it is being cut down through the center here. Is it passing through any holes? Does the cutting plane pass through any holes? Only the middle. See that? So we're not going to see these holes at the side. So you realize that I did not draw this full thing. And that's because we don't need to draw these holes in, because those holes are not being cut. So when I look at it, in here is going to be smooth the way I have it here. In here is going to be smooth. It's going to come up. These lines here will be gone. These lines here will be gone. And then I'm going to take a look at how the fork is cut now. So the fork is cut through here. It's cut through the three holes here and here. So we can see the hole in the fork here, hole in the fork. We can then see this hole. Then we have the stud. We got in bolts. Then we have in the workpiece. Now this plan view is far from finished. I'm just going to put in a few parts into the plan view so that we can finish that up. We're going to see the bolts in the plan.
That's it.
And we're also going to see this piece here that has any break. So I'm going to start with this. And I'll draw that piece long. Now remember, this piece has a break on it, and when you draw pieces with breaks, you do not need to draw them to the full measurement. You understand that?
That's it.
So when you look here, this piece has a break in it, is 120, so we don't need to draw the full 120. We just need to draw it shorter, and we'll put the break back in it. Alright, so I already have the fork, the top of the fork in. I'll just put down the vertical line here. And I'll put in this vertical line for the fork, and I'll trim. This line here has to be hidden now, because this is going to be blocked by the actual fork. We just change this to hidden. And the rest of these here too have to be hidden. Well, these circles, this circle here has to be hidden.
Not fully. Not fully.
Not fully. Well, I guess the piece that we'll see will not be hidden. We just change this to center lines. We go back to the drawing. Alright, so since that piece is over, this circle is hidden as well. But this will not see this piece. Oh, you mean this piece here is going to be solid?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah, that piece will be solid. I'm just gonna make this part here solid. Remember, the purpose of this video to be used when you're practicing so that you can see what a finished drawing will look like, and so that you will practice a finished drawing. I don't just want you to be drawing half things. Alright, so that is that. Alright, so what is missing? Missing these bolts. Mine is cutting the circle, so that's an error. Outline, and I'm gonna move this, copy it, sorry. When I copy it, I'll put it into the slot here. And just rotate it. So remember, this is coming over here to press against these. In here now it's going to be hidden. Alright, so we have the bolts, we have the stud, we have the fork, so we have the figure assemble for the most part. Alright, so I'm just going to change these layers and then we'll section and we'll finish the exam. Now it is not fully correct, there's still a lot of little errors here or there, but all we're doing is making sure that we're practicing. Now I could have raised this to line up with the center. Y'all would have preferred that we done that, that we did that. Move it so it lines up, because it could line up here, and then they just have to be touching it. So I guess to some degree that's how it could be held. Alright, anyhow, we're in the section, and I'm going to draw in a middle line. Alright, so make sure that the layer is correct, sections. So we go to our hatching. So this piece is the base, and when the base is cut, we're going to see this left side here section and this right side. Alright, so that part is section. Everybody understands the sections so far?
Yes.
Why are they not sectioning here?
Yes, hollow.
It's hollow, you got this hole in there, right? There, that's a circle, that's a cylinder. So we're gonna see the section will actually come across a little more. So in here now is gonna be section 2. Alright, the reason that I made this decision, because when we look at the top of this piece, the slant lines up here and then it comes across. So all in here is solid, so in here is going to be section. You understand that?
That's good.
Alright, so we hatch again. We just hatch in those pieces. Make it a little bigger. Close. Alright, so we section the fork now. And for this fork, I'm going to flip it the opposite way, 90. And we just have here the workpiece. So I will section the workpiece too because that is cut as well. I just changed the dimension of it. Was the reason I did not section the bolts?
Yeah. Right. So
They're fasteners and you don't section fasteners. Right, so those bolts will not be hidden. And from here, still got a couple small things to do, but I'm going to label it sectional front view on plane AA. And we're also going to label plan view. Change layer. And we already got a symbol. We got in our second question. Dimensions. So it has answered for 6 main dimensions. So we just copy back some of these same dimensions. I'll put in this 65. Make sure that your layer is correct. That's 65. I'm gonna copy, I'll do this M26. Diameter. No, that's a 40. I didn't draw the M26 hole. Alright, so just draw it now. So all of this would be hidden detail underneath. And since I did not draw any hidden detail, I don't have the M26. So we just put in diameter, come here, M26, and put in the square 70. How many dice so far? 3 dimensions. And I think I'm going to put in this 110 measurement. 114 is the full height. So is that what you want to put in to make sure that it is correct? I'm gonna get 110. Oh, one of my measurements off somewhere. So we got 15, 125, up here is 30. Let me just dimension that to see. So we got only 30, so this piece is off. Offset, 110. And we're just gonna pull the parts down so that will be correct. But for the most part, this is how we will answer the question. I think we did the break last time, so I'm not going to do the break now. But for this, I would just bring down this piece to fix that error. And I'll just put in a sharp break here at the bottom. So the thing about the break, you draw some horizontal lines, and then we're going to go by our polyline. I'll actually use a spline. So what this spline will do is it just gives us curves, and you're clicking it back all the time. Now the end click close. You do the same thing for the bottom piece, or you could just copy it down there. Now it does not matter how you draw it. The whole thing though is that you are showing that this piece here is broken. Alright, everybody's clear so far?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so when this is done, you just make that dark line. Just gonna trim off this piece. Now you realize that I did not put in the little curves or anything like that. And that's just for the sake of the video. If there is time, you will put in those things. But if you're trying to rush through to get it done within the time, you leave those small things for last. But the key here is you're doing 3 important things. You start by putting in question B and C, the title, the scale, the symbol. You look at how difficult the oblique question is, or the number 2 question is, and you at least start some of that. If you do not start any of it, you're going to lose marks. The drawings don't have to be fully correct. Y'all realize that?
Yes, sir.
They don't have to be fully correct. And if you spend a lot of time trying to make them fully correct, you're going to lose even more marks. So over here, we got the dimensions, we have the labels. One thing that CXC would let you to do though is just to number the questions. So this will be question 1, and make sure that is in the text there. Alright, so we'll stop here, and this is question 1C, 1C and D, and this is question 2. Alright, that's it. Anything that we missed? Any questions?
Any questions?
Alright, so remember it is important to answer the question. Right? Make sure that you have answered the questions that they have asked for. That is the most important thing. Because if you don't answer questions, you can't get marks. Alright, so just gonna move this down. So this is to show that you can make an error in the exam and you can still fix it. My thing is just try your best not to give up during the actual exam, because that is where the marks are most important. Alright, you just gotta pull down this piece at the top to there to make the correct measurement. Any questions about anything?
No, sir.
What do you think we have to work on next week?
Perfect.
You need to work on perfection, Keontae, or just completing drawings? What do you think you have to work on? Perfection or just completing the drawings? You don't necessarily gotta work on perfection. You just need to get to the point where you can assemble the figures. That's all you need to do. Alright, so I'll stop here with the question, and I'll stop the video.